Hello, Civ fans, and welcome to today's Firaxis Livestream.
My name is Pete Murray. I'm going to be your host today, and I am joined today by Carl Harrison from Firaxis QA, our driver. Carl, thank you again for joining us.
It is my pleasure, Pete.
And joining us from the design side is Anton Strenger, lead designer of the Civ 6 New Frontier Pass. Anton, thanks for coming on board today.
Hello, of course.
So we've got a lot of cool stuff to show you guys today for the release of the Portugal DLC pack. This has been a hotly anticipated one, hasn't it?
Yeah. Oh gosh. As we have said before, we keep a careful eye on forums, on social media. We see all those threads where people are ranking. We want these civs in, we want these leaders in, and Portugal is a regular occurrence. People love Portugal. We've had them in Civ before, and so we are happy to bring them back once again.
All right, well, let's jump into our stream, and we will begin by taking a look at the abilities of João and the Portuguese Empire. So, Anton, what kind of a civilization is this that we're looking at today?
So João is a trade and science-focused civilization that plays a lot on the ocean and water navigation. So I'd say probably his defining ability is Casa de India, where his international trade routes can only reach cities that are on the coast or that have a harbor. So you're not going to have any land international trade routes. You have to go over the ocean. But they reach further, so you can have more destinations, and they get plus 50% towards everything, towards all yields. So really going out and exploring the map early on, finding those trading partners, settling on the coast, finding buddies and making alliances who have also settled on the coast is a really big part of Portugal's playstyle, and it reaps, as we'll see in Carl's game here, it reaps plenty of rewards.
All right, so Carl, why don't you jump us into the game and we'll take a look at what's going on. We have an action-packed first turn for you guys to look at. So Carl, tell us a little bit about the situation that we have on hand right now.
All right, as you just said, we've got a lot to take a look at. I'm just going to start running as soon as we get in here. First thing, we have just finished our research and our civic. The research was cartography, which means we have now unlocked our unique unit. And the ability to
see what you did.
Thank you. And the ability to sail over ocean, which means we're able to get out and explore and find additional civs. Every single civ you discover as Portugal will give you an additional trade route slot. This is a small map, so there's 6 players total. That means we will meet 5 others and can get 5 trade routes. Currently, we've only met 2, so there's 3 more players out there for us to go and find. And then the civic that we unlocked is exploration, which means that we got the Merchant Republic government, which is very good for Portugal, getting additional gold from cities with governors. So we're going to jump into that right away. Merchant Republic right here, and switch into that government.
There we go.
And the reason that I want to do this first is so that we can slot in professional army, because we have a couple of galleys that we now need to upgrade. And so I want to make that cheaper, even though we are not hurting for gold at all. Currently really making 251 a turn with 600 in the bank. Still,
at the end of the medieval era, yeah.
And then I'm going to put on Merchant Confederation. Just for a couple of turns here, we will soon be unlocking the Whistlebonkin policy, and we'll be swapping out for that instead. You can also see I've got Trade Confederation and Caravanseries on, because as Portugal, these are both boosted by 50%.
All right.
So now that we have the policies equipped, let's go ahead and upgrade this galley into our unique unit.
So the now is a naval melee unit. It is Portugal's unique unit. In this case, we've upgraded it from the galley. It's got some cool abilities, doesn't it, Anton?
It does, yeah. So first off, I don't think Carl's going to use it this turn because he has other plans and you can't move it after upgrading it. But the now will have a free promotion. It also, kind of most importantly and most defining for its playstyle, it will have 2 charges to build Feitoria tile improvements. So the Feitoria are these really powerful tile improvements that you can place in other players' cities. These could be other civilizations if there's open borders. They could be city-states, because as Portugal, you have open borders with all city-states. So I think Carl has some schemes laid out for his now as he's going to keep exploring here.
Awesome. So let's take a look at some of the other things that are going on with our Portuguese Empire homeland, and then we'll focus on this developing situation to the north. So Portugal's unique building is or unique piece of infrastructure is the navigation school. What does this get us?
So the navigation school is a university replacement. It has all of the base things that a university does. So 4 science, 1 housing, and a great scientist point. But for Portugal, it also adds plus 25% production towards naval units in the city, plus 1 science for every 2 coast or lake tiles in the city, and that does get boosted by rationalism. So if you have the full plus 100%, you can make it basically 1 per water tile. In Braga here, we're not going to be able to benefit from some of those abilities because it is not a coastal city. It does not have water tiles. It does not have a harbor or ocean access in order to make ships, but it's still a university and therefore worth building. And we'll also get the final piece, 1 Great Admiral point.
Yeah.
And we can
So
see,
we've got
I'm going to zoom in
yeah.
down here. This is one already complete so you guys can see what it looks like. That's the navigation school once it's finished. That's Lisbon. Lisbon does have coastal tiles, and let me show off how this is displayed. In the tooltip here, you can see at the very top, +3 from terrain. That is the bonus that you get from the navigation school. That is different from worked tiles. You'll see down near the bottom, +15 from worked tiles. That is...
What's all that coming from?
Yeah, so you that's when you have a citizen physically working the tile and getting the science that way. The terrain bonus is not worked. And let me turn
I was setting
on...
you up for something. Yeah.
I know. I just wanted to finish that quick explanation. Let me turn on yields here, and we can see that we have a bunch of science from tiles here because I have built one of the 2 new wonders for this DLC pack, Etemenanki. This is a Babylonian ziggurat wonder, and it adds 1 science to all floodplain tiles in this city, of which we have only 3, but then it also adds 2 science to all marsh tiles in your entire empire. I got lucky enough to have tons of marsh on this spawn. This is not a wetlands map script. Wetlands is a new map that is also coming out in this DLC. It is a continent space with lots of floodplains and marsh. This is a normal continents map script, but I still ended up with lots of marsh in my starting area, so of course I had to build this, and also take Lady of the Reeds and Marshes for an additional 2 production on each one of those tiles.
Nice. So we're already getting a couple of questions that are coming in from chat, which we can answer real quick. The first one is, does the now disappear after the 2 charges for the Feitorias are spent? And the answer is no. And I would like to thank John for telling us it's pronounced Feitoria, if I am reading his comment correctly. But another question is, what city-state is going to replace Lisbon in the list? Do you guys remember?
I mean, I don't remember the name that we picked.
Yeah, I don't. I honestly, off the top of my head, I do not either.
Okay,
yeah.
so
it's what we normally do in this situation is Lisbon was a trade city-state, and so we kind of transfer it. So there's a different trade city-state. I forget the exact one, and I don't think it's in this game. We certainly haven't seen it yet. We have Granada, is sort of like, and we have Kumasi to the north, but we haven't seen the Lisbon replacement in this game just yet.
So it'll just have a new label. It'll have the same old abilities, but it won't be called Lisbon anymore.
Correct.
We do have some questions about this situation that's evolving on your north here, but let's talk a little bit about the zombies, which are the other new addition for this update, or for this DLC. So this is another one of the optional game modes. So this is something that you can turn on or off, like the mega disasters, or in the apocalypse mode, or the
Secret Society,
Heroes and Legends,
right?
Yep. So this is something you can opt into, but we have a lot of zombies. So Anton, how do zombies work in this update?
Yeah,
or in this mode.
So zombies are shambling, slow-moving but dangerous units that are controlled by the barbarian player. The way that they come about is actually really interesting, and it leads to a lot of variation in each game, depending on what's going on. So when the map first starts, every barbarian camp will have a zombie or 2. So that's how zombies start their infection in the land from the very beginning of time. But from then on, zombies will spawn kind of according to the violence and aggression in the game. So zombies have a chance to spawn anywhere where a unit has died in the past, And there's certain like turn thresholds. I believe there's like a 5-turn and a 50-turn chance where a zombie might come back about. But the most effective and lethal way in which zombies spread, which we're probably about to see next to Leeds here, is if a zombie takes out another unit, it will spawn a unit to take its place. So that's how I think this horde to the north has grown. It's just sort of this chain reaction that's grown out of control. And I think, Carl, you said that's like there was some warfare up there, and Panama had changed hands, right?
Yeah, we're only on turn 83 here, but Gran Colombia and England have been at war for quite some time. Panama, I believe, has changed hands twice,
That'll do it.
swapped back and forth,
Yeah.
and there have been a bunch of different battles going on up here. When a normal unit kills another normal unit, like you said, anytime a unit dies, there's a chance that later on it will respawn as a zombie. And I think that probably caused some zombie spawns on its own. And then those zombies who were at full health attacked the wounded units in the middle of the war here, like this poor swordsman, and then that immediately produces more zombies, and pretty soon things got out of control. Another way that zombies can spawn is by attacking cities.
Mm-hmm.
If a zombie attacks a city center, there is a low chance that the population of the city will be reduced and it will spawn a new zombie. And I am fairly certain that Leeds used to be at 3 population. So there's some zombie spawns from that as well. Zombies can capture cities. They will raise them immediately as long as it's a non-capital city. If they capture or if they attack a capital city, it will go down to 0, but they'll never capture it or raise it, but any other city will get raised, and I think we might see that happen because Leeds is sieged and is hurting here. Their primary Go ahead.
I was just going to say, just real quickly, it's been an interesting mode to play and to balance and design, though, because it is really up to the game. Like, I've had games, especially if I'm on, like a sort of like peaceful continent or island, or especially if I'm playing with barbarian modes and I'm not really warring with the barbarians, I'm kind of being peaceful with them, where zombies don't really, like, they hardly show up at all. So it really is interesting in the way it sort of like evolves out of the game that you're playing and what your neighbors are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And so yeah, if you are playing peacefully like that, then you won't see nearly as many zombies. And even then, even if you are worrying a lot, like because it's a random chance, you might have games where even under those circumstances you'll have a lower count.
Might not hit that critical mass.
Hit that critical mass, and a lot of it is it's a very balanced scale, because if you do have the right number of spawns at the right time, like happened up here, and units get taken out, you get pushed to the other end of that scale, and then things like this start to happen where they just get out of control. So seeing that all of this was occurring, I went ahead and built some defenses along my border here. These are new to this zombie defense mode. It is the defense part of the mode. We have 2 tile improvements here that I want to talk about. The first is a trap. That's this one right here. And the second is the barricade wall that we see here. These tile improvements are built by builders. They can be built outside of your territory. When you build them, they still grant you sight. So if I were to build this, say, up here, I would have visibility on that tile. And Anton, why don't you talk about what these do?
Yeah, so the traps, any unit that enters the trap tile, that could be zombies, that could also be other units that belong to other players you're at war with, will take damage. This is a sort of flat amount of damage. So, like they're effective against weak zombies, they're effective against strong zombies. We can talk about zombie strength scaling a little bit later. But they're also effective against an enemy warrior, enemy spearman, stuff like that. They will also end the unit's turn if they move into the trap tile. And then the barricades that Carl has to the south are pretty effective, especially with this setup that he has here with the traps in front and the barricades behind.
And there's also a change to China's Great Wall. Yeah. China's Great Wall now also functions as a barricade, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, there's a couple of changes there to unique tile improvements. So we do have Granada in this game, and I've built an Alcazar over here. Alcazars in this game mode do function as traps as well. And then that also applies to other unique fort improvements like the Roman fort, the Maori Pa, and then, like you said, the Chinese Great Wall does count as a barricade.
Counts as a barricade, right?
And I think you were starting to talk about what they do there, Anton.
Yeah. So the barricade will damage units that are in adjacent tiles. So not quite as strong as a trap, but they have some reach. They will also exert zone of control on those tiles. So Carl's setup here, where he has traps in front and barricades behind, is a really nice setup, especially with this choke point kind of in between the lake and the city state, because the zombies will come up. They will take damage from the trap. They will take damage from barricades that are right beyond the trap. They will end their movement. They'll be in zone of control. And you have some swordsmen there ready to attack anything that makes it through, as well as a crossbowman behind. So this is a really good.
I have these
setup.
guys on fortification too, so they're getting that defensive bonus, and I'm just going to leave them there to just slow down the progress. Keep the zombies in these trap tiles, so that they're getting hit by the trap and then again by that barricade, like you were talking about. And then use my range units to pick them off. It was briefly mentioned earlier, but these new defensive improvements do work against all hostile units to you. So if England were to declare war on me and start marching an army down, they would also take damage from these traps and from this barricade. So the improvements are very useful in this game mode, regardless of whether you're being overrun by zombies or not. And again, these can be built outside of your territory, so you can use them in some really cool, interesting, strategic ways. Other civs can pillage these tiles, so if you do have an army march through here, they will probably destroy them along the way. Zombies, however, are not smart enough to do that and will just continue to take the damage.
Speaking of zombies not being smart, they're actually fairly predictable because they are going to attack the nearest unit. So Carl has a pretty good idea here of like with the traps and the barricades, they're going to come for his swordsman. That's a pretty sure bet, as opposed to playing against an AI opponent where they might be trying to flank you or do something a little more sneaky.
All right. So first of all, congratulations on building the mausoleum at Halicarnassus. That is an excellent wonder, especially if you are looking at a real maritime power. I always think this is one that gets under-recognized for its value for the space race as well, too.
Yeah, because that additional engineer charge. I did build an industrial zone in order to get out the Venetian arsenal, which is particularly strong for Portugal because of the navigation school's production bonus towards naval units, and then Venetian arsenal, of course, doubles the number of units you get. So having this to give me an extra charge on all my great engineers that I earn is going to be particularly good.
And I would like to thank Livestream watcher and Civilization 6 designer Ed Beach, who reminded us that Mogadishu is the city-state that replaces Lisbon. So that's your,
I was just going to mention that.
Replacement.
Yeah. Back to me. Yeah. So.
Yep. And a couple of other things that have come through. Somebody asked if traps damage enemy civs. We did go over that. Yes, they will. John Smith is asking, can the Feitoria be used offensively to reduce the tiles your opponent's city can work? That's a great question.
Let me show off how it works, actually. Yeah.
Perfect.
So I have the now here. When you either build or upgrade one of these units, you do get a free promotion immediately, which Anton mentioned earlier. This occurs as long as there are promotions available for the unit, but it doesn't matter how many promotions it already has. So if you have 1 or 2 promotions on the unit on a galley and you upgrade it into a now, you will get a 3rd promotion there, as long as you're not capped out on the promotion tree, of course. I am not going to take this promotion at the moment because that will, of course, end the unit's turn, and we do want to place a Feitoria. These have to go in the territory of other civilizations that you have open borders with and are not at war with. I'll let Anton go into sort of the balance of those placement rules here in a little bit. But first, let me go ahead and show off what it does. I have 2 valid tiles for them here, this one or this one. It has to be a coastal tile, so water, that is adjacent to land, so like out here won't work, this one here. And then it has to be, if that was, let's say, inside territory. And it has to be adjacent to either a luxury or a bonus resource. And those can be land resources or water resources. And then finally, they cannot be built adjacent to each other. So while both of these are eligible tiles, I cannot build on both of them. I can only pick one. However, building multiple Feitorias in the single city does stack its effects. So let me turn on the yields and we can see what those effects are. This is the the button to build it, we can see how many builds I have here. And again, when this hits 0, I will not lose the unit. I just won't be able to build any more of them. This adds 1 production and 4 gold. We're seeing 1 food because of the lighthouse in this city. But for 1 production and 4 gold to this tile, it is able to be worked by the city that you build it in. So when I build this, I am improving this tile with 1 production and 4 gold for Newcastle upon Tyne. They are getting a pretty significant bonus from that tile. However, I, as Portugal, will get 1 production and 4 gold plus 50% for every trade route I send to the city. And again, that does stack if I have multiple Feitorias in the same city. So let me go ahead and place this down. And we'll scroll back up there. So you can see that the tile improvement added those yields to this tile. Once I move the now off of there, we'll come back and take another look at the tile improvement itself so we can see better what it looks like. But yeah, you are building for your allies or for your neighbors with this, so you are giving them a boost, and that's sort of the trade-off, is you're giving them a really nice tile there. You can troll a little bit with it, and we'll actually see that here in a minute. You can take away wonder or harbor spots. That's not super common. And we'll also see how sometimes it can be difficult to place these improvements. So while I go ahead and attack these barbarians, Anton, I'll let you talk a little bit more about the placement restrictions for them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So with the Feitoria, with anything you're sort of building in another player's territory, you obviously want to be very careful so that, you're not being able to grief the other player, especially in something like multiplayer, or having the AI do it to you. That would be really frustrating. So the whole goal of the Feitoria and the intended design is it's a win-win, but the win is bigger for Portugal. So by having these pretty strict placement requirements, has to be next to resources, they can't be next to each other, has to be on the coast. They're not going to be super common, right? You're going to have to go hunting for them. And that's one of the reasons why Portugal benefits so much from early and persistent naval exploration, is to find all of these sweet spots where they can place Feitoria that they can reap the benefits of for the rest of the game. But we did a lot of play testing with this. And so, yeah, we came up with a few sort of considerations. Obviously they can't go on top of resource tiles. So we're not going to steal like a fish tile or crabs tile or something from a city. And here we're just seeing an example. Yeah. So now that we can trade with Newcastle upon Tyne, here's the Feitoria doing work for us. So it's the 1 production and 4 gold plus 50% because it's an international trade route. So that's already quite nice. And if we can send multiple trade routes from different cities that we have all to Newcastle upon Tyne, that's going to make it even better. And also Feitoria cannot be destroyed. They will stick around.
Or removed.
So they cannot be removed either. Correct. We think it's quite nice. And again, like even as Portugal, we'll see a couple instances where you have to be careful because maybe you can place a Feitoria, but it's actually not going to be in your best interest.
So speaking of not in your best interest, it looks like the city of Leeds was eaten by zombies.
There's actually been
completely gone now.
2 cities that have fallen.
One Gran
from
Colombia as well.
Gran Colombia, yeah. So both of those cities have completely fallen to the zombie hordes, which means that those zombies are going to be looking to attack elsewhere. So zombies will, like Anton was saying, they do have predictive behavior, or predictable behavior, I should say. They target the nearest unit that they can see first, and then the nearest city if there's not a unit available. So now that there's not a city for them to attack, they will start roaming a little bit and look for new targets. So because I have these units here, they will keep throwing themselves at them. If a zombie were to be trying to attack Lisbon, for example, I could move this crossbowman out of the city so that the unit attacks the crossbowman instead of the city. So you can sort of bait them or even kite them around with methods like that, which can be very advantageous. You just want to make sure that you don't lose your unit to the zombie because, again, that spawns another zombie.
So we've got some questions from chat, which I kind of want to blow through real quick so that we can address them. Somebody wants to know, how does the Navigation School interact with the Hermetic Order's Alchemical Society? The Alchemical Society will replace the Navigation School.
Right.
So
yes,
it will.
Secret Society replacement building sort of overwrite anything else about the civilization. So if you're playing as Portugal, you might want to choose a different society if you want to keep the navigation school.
Yeah. Somebody is asking, can ranged units take out traps from afar? No, you got to pillage them, right?
Correct. Yeah, you have to be on the tile and do the pillage action, just like you would pillage a farm or something else.
Okay. And people want to know, can you pillage a Feitoria? What happens if an enemy civ captures the city where the Feitoria is located?
So they can be pillaged. I believe that they can be pillaged. However, if another civ captures the city, it stays there. If you capture the city, then it goes away. That's the only thing that will remove them from the map. That and I believe meteors from Apocalypse Mode that absolutely wipe out the city, of course, or raising the city will remove them as well. But the only other thing that'll do it is if you capture the city, because they cannot exist in your own territory. Only enemy or not enemy, but foreign territory.
I
do want to
know.
Call attention to this.
People...
I want to call attention to this real quick. We're going to build another Feitoria over here, and this is an example of a little bit of a trolley placement of one, because this is a really good harbor spot for the city, and I'm gonna take it. But this also shows off. This also shows off where it can be difficult to place these. This is the only place that I can put one. So this is a potentially valid tile. This is a valid tile. These two right here, as far as being adjacent to land and being adjacent to a resource, but they're not owned. And if there was a harbor here, this wouldn't be valid either. So I'm trading with Gran Colombia. I have an alliance with them because alliances, the yields from trade routes on alliances also get boosted. Yeah, but I wouldn't be able to place them here. England, it's really great territory. They have a lot of tiles that are valid, and so I'm actually able to place a couple of them here, and that's awesome. I'll even steal this harbor spot from London here in a minute. But it can be hard to place these sometimes. Or let's say that there wasn't a resource. If there were no resources right here, then this would not be a valid location either. So even though it sounds like they can be easy to place, sometimes you might have some difficulty with it.
All right. One quick zombies question. Can Hunapu and Ishbalanque, the Mayan hero twins, recruit a zombie upon killing it?
They sure can.
As well as Boudica.
Yeah, and Boudica as well. They can. And in that way, they become under your control. There are other ways specific to the mode that you can put zombies under control, which we'll get to in a little bit, but that is temporary. So if you get the twins...
Bandar Brunei completely vanished. A 12 population city got eaten by zombies.
Ouch.
That's kind of amazing. Now they're all coming for you, Carl.
Yeah, they are going to start coming down here towards me, and in fact, I'm going to bait them a little bit. Again, this acts as a trap, and these are traps as well. Your own traps and barricades do not hurt your unit, so I am safe. So we're going to kite these zombies down into here and see if we can do some damage to them.
Kind of unfortunate that they're going for that city instead of over to the barricades. Yeah. But.
Yeah. Can Feitorias be placed on unrevealed oil? Yes.
I don't know.
I don't remember the exact case.
I don't think they can.
All right. So if you can't place it, you know there will be oil there. All right. So we've met Magnificent Catherine, and since we've met a new civilization, we're going to get an additional trade route. So now we have 12 available. That's pretty awesome. Man, Carl, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I barely escaped with that.
Wait, how'd they get to Lisbon? What?
All right, so
you got zombies in the backfield.
This is the zombie spawning mechanic that Anton was talking about. So there was a barbarian camp down here by Coimbra earlier, and any unit that dies has a chance to spawn a zombie on a later turn, so you will see more waves of zombies popping up as the game continues to progress. Also, any zombie unit that dies has a chance to spawn again as a zombie because you didn't go for the head. And that the length of time for that is even longer than a normal unit, because of course they're undead. So there were barbarians down here. There were of course, zombies as a result of that barbarian camp. And it's worth noting that when a barbarian camp spawns, it still spawns normal barbarian units. The zombie units are in addition to those. So this is compatible with the barbarian clans game mode. They are not exclusive to each other. You will be able to really ramp up the zombies in your game if you play with both. So whatever caused it, there was a unit that had died here, and now we have a zombie that spawned here. Unfortunately, it is going to eat this trader first because that's the juiciest, easiest target, right? Even if I move this unit here like this, it's still going to attack the trader first. So I am going to lose a trade route. And then that's worth noting that that is an advantage of Portugal on this game mode, is that the majority of their trade routes are over water. This one is going from Coimbra to Braga here to build a road, because there wasn't a road there, and I really wanted one, particularly to get through this marsh tile here. But they will be able to maintain their economy because of the water trade routes can't be pillaged by the zombie units, whereas most of the other civs are going to be struggling with trade routes.
Yeah. Like, yeah, if England and Gran Colombia up there were trading, the zombies in the middle would have made it a really difficult proposition.
Yeah. Well, that's a shame. But as it is, your international trade routes are most impressive. So you're getting some pretty solid yields out of that. So it's not so bad at all. Somebody asked, why doesn't Portugal multiply the faith that it gets through international trade routes? I'm going to presume that would make it very difficult if you had a religion as Portugal to prevent it from being overwhelmed by, it being imported.
Depends on the language of the question. The faith yield will be multiplied.
Right.
But the religious pressure is not. Yeah.
Okay. So the faith yield is, religious pressure is not. Okay.
And yeah, it's we wanted it to be more of an economic focus. Like other civilizations kind of have a more religious bent. We wanted to kind of maintain the clarity of Portugal as a sort of like, gold and a little bit of science and navy.
All right. That sounds good. Oh man, open borders? Sure. That's great.
That's exactly what we want.
Right. And I'll take 17 gold per turn along with that. She's on a different continent from me, so I don't mind selling her weapons. That's not an issue. And I have a surplus of turtles, so that's also not an issue.
There goes the trade route. We hardly need
one.
That's okay. We have plenty of money, so I am going to just purchase some more. And here we can see, I just slotted in Whistlebonkin, so we can see the advantages that I'm getting from that. 2 food, boosted by 1 because of that 50%. And then we're seeing 4 production total there. One of those is from...
the Feitoria.
The Feitoria. 2 of those are from Whistlebonkin, and then we see 1 production from districts as well, and then that's getting boosted by +2. So really, really great yields here. The 6 science, I have a scientific alliance with Victoria and an economic one with Gran Colombia over there. So some awesome yields here, and those are just going to continue to go up as we build more of the unique improvement.
That's pretty delicious.
It is worth noting that the Feitoria is a limited time unique improvement. If you do not have any more nows with charges, and you have upgraded to unlocked ironclads, you will not be able to make more of them. The primary infrastructure for Portugal is the navigation school, not the Feitoria. That's just a bonus, kind of like the Roman fort or the Maori Pa. So if you want to build lots of them, make sure you stock up on those nows and just leave them sitting around so that you can make more of them later.
And one easy way to stock up would be to, finish the Venetian arsenal and then just,
I did notice you had that plan there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crank
so
out
2
crazy
turns
numbers
from
of them.
that. And then, we'll start making more.
That's awesome. So you've got a map pin as well next to Lisbon for another of the wonders that's included in this pack. So the Casa de India.
This is the Torre del Belém.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
And that is another wonder that is being included in the Portugal pack here, and it boosts yields on trade routes. So of course we want that in my capital. Now that Venetian Arsenal is done, we'll start building some nows in the meantime. But yeah, that's going to boost our trade routes even more. Of course, I had to go for Colossus as well for another trade route. The more trade routes you can get with Portugal, the better. But again, they can only trade over water. They are able to trade with themselves, so we can see that I can create land trade routes with all of my own cities. That's fine.
Right.
And you can trade through your own cities to reach foreign destinations like Gran Colombia here, but you cannot trade over land to reach other cities. So I
Yeah,
can't go
Bogota's not going to
through.
happen.
Right, I can't go through this coastal city here to reach Bogota. That is not allowed, but I can go through my own cities to reach others. And again, as Anton mentioned, you do have increased range as well. It is sometimes difficult to trade over really long distances, though, so you might want to create sort of a way station city along the way so that you can create a trade route, or excuse me, a trading post there and boost your range even further.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to trade here, I think.
Okay. So somebody is asking, can you make a promise to, can you require a promise from Joao that he won't place Feitoria in your city diplomatically? No, as long as you have open borders with him, he's going to put him where he wants, and there's not a
Correct.
whole lot you can do about that.
Yeah, I mean the way, yeah, if you really want to restrict it from happening, keep closed borders, or if you have open borders and you see him coming and you're worried about it, you can declare war on him. that will invalidate them. Yeah.
All right, so Carl,
So
you're going to
pulling
fall back a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
I am,
Yeah.
things are starting to look a little bit dire over here. I don't
Yeah.
want to lose my units because, again, losing units means more zombies. And that
Oh,
just
that looks like a nice island there.
this
There's
is
no
this would
zombie
be
there.
great as a
Ooh.
way station island. Yeah, so if I were to,
Oh
to
yeah,
build
like you're
here,
saying.
I could trade across this sort of ocean, and so that might be a good spot to settle on later. There is another island down here, but it has a barbarian camp still, so there's probably zombies roaming around down here, and that would not
Yep.
be good. It's worth noting that even if there aren't as many coastal cities, I got lucky with England settling a lot of coastal cities. But let's say they had only done London. I could also settle lots of my own, which I have done here, and each one of those cities can trade with London. Since a city can only trade with a city one time, so you don't have to settle one of your own and trade with lots of theirs. It can work the other way around too. So if you have limited trading partners, just try settling more coastal cities yourself, and you'll still be able to take advantage of those increased trade route counts.
Yeah. Yeah, so there is some
And,
flexibility. Yeah, it definitely. I think Portugal more so than some of our other civilizations. Well, I think the Maya from the New Frontier Pass is a good example. Like you really do have to be very conscious of the map and sort of kind of have a plan going in. What were you gonna say?
I was going to ask you a question and I dropped my card. So
No worries.
so no worries. Sorry about that. Ooh,
Yeah, I
Carl,
think it's
getting-
really rewarding
Okay.
to play as Portugal, especially if you were able to explore early and get some good Feitoria and sort of like tweak your trade network to really be returning the yields. Like Carl's up to like 387 now, so yeah, he's almost doubled his gold per turn just in the time we've been playing, which is pretty awesome.
Oh
And the
no,
new
zombie!
content is only going to make that better.
Yeah, zombies ate my trader. Oh, too bad. I'll just have to buy myself another one.
We
God,
might have
that
to use
island-
Catherine's open borders to just like run to another continent at this point.
Yeah. That island really would be a great base. So if you are looking for a civilization that's going to kind of take that, mid-game stretch of time where you're starting to reach out to that next continent, Portugal is going to be a lot of fun to do. It is an economic powerhouse. Those are some crazy trade yields you're getting. If you look at Carl's gold, despite having spent despite spending like a prince, he's going to be able to bring those balances back up quickly, and he's well ahead of other
Spending money
people's yields
to make
too.
money.
Yeah. Yep. So, what kind of victories is Portugal pretty well situated for? It's not like economics by itself is a victory.
I think that their best option is probably a science victory. To be honest with you, the unique university gets them a lot of additional science, which is very beneficial. And then the massive amounts of gold allow you to combine with Reyna, the Governor Reyna. You can purchase your spaceports later in the game, and then if you run, I believe it's Royal Society, you'll be able to purchase lots of builders and then rush the projects in those districts. So that's probably the best option for them is a science victory. But they're also good at naval domination. Getting that 25% production on naval units with an additional the naval unit or unique naval unit really makes them a strong contender for a naval domination game.
So for those of you playing on maps like an islands map or Fractal, which tends to have a lot of coastline as well too. Oh, met another trading partner.
I feel like Seven Seas would be really fun as them as well.
Seven Seas could be. You can run into situations even with plenty of water where civs won't settle as much on the coast, and so you can sort of build yourself into a corner with that. And that's the risk. That's the trade-off with Portugal. They get amazing trade yields, but that restriction can be very penalizing at times if you don't get lucky with or rather if you get unlucky with your the spawn locations. So it's definitely a consideration.
So somebody wants to know, can you place Feitorias in city-states?
Yes, you can. So I would like to be able to place one in Kumasi here. I think that would be excellent. This tile or this tile would be valid locations, but they are not owned. It's the same situation I was talking about with Gran Colombia earlier. It's like I would love to place one there, but I can't. I will love to place one on each side, but I just can't.
Yeah, they have a harbor there in the middle. Yeah, and there's a sort of obscure rule in case people aren't familiar. City-states will grow their tiles based on the envoys they have. So, like if somebody pours, maybe we pour a bunch of envoys into Kumasi, the sort of like highest envoy count that they've had will give them more tiles. That's potentially one way we could do it. City-states are meant to be sort of like the safe Feitoria target. Like they might not always have the tiles for it, but one of Joao's III's perks is that he gets open borders with all city-states. Kind of like the, I believe it was the Arsenal of Democracy. I forget the exact diplomatic policy.
Gunboat diplomacy.
Yep, that one. Yeah, exactly. He has the same effect for all city-states for the entire game. So he can that helps with this naval exploration too. Like you're not going to get choked off, from exploring around the edge of a continent because a city-state is blocking you. Because you don't have to be suzerain; you could just go right through there. And so you can build Feitoria in any city-state you find, as long as there's the valid spot for it.
And then Nick is asking if we can include vegan zombies who only want to eat your grains. I'd like to thank Nick for coming up with the worst joke I've heard in the last couple hours.
Well, that's exactly what they're doing here. They're actually trying to get down here to my rice tiles, but they have to get through all these cities first.
They're just tracking the nearest rice. We're just in the way.
Right. And I am now purposefully kiting them into my city. You saw that I pulled my units back away from my border, allowing them to enter these tiles. And it is worth noting that when they enter a tile in a chain of barricades, remember these deal damage adjacent, that they will take damage from the tile that they are in as well as from the two tiles adjacent, so that really stacks there. And the placement rules for these are the same as the Great Wall. You can't put them in a triangle. But I'm kiting them down in so that I can try to take control of them. We'll see down here I have two new projects, Turn Undead and Dark Signal. Turn Undead requires a holy site. It is a cheaper project, but has a shorter duration, in this case 15 turns. Dark Signal requires a campus district. It is more expensive, but lasts longer, in this case 30 turns. We're going to do Turn Undead. We don't need to have these guys for very long. When this completes, I will gain control of all zombies that are in the territory of this city. So the more of these guys that enter this territory, the better. If any of them are outside, that won't count. I really do want to gain control of some of these guys and get them away from my territory. Once you have taken control of them, with whatever means, whether that's the Hero Twins, Boudica, or one of these two projects, they count as your units for all purposes. They no longer take damage from traps and barricades. You can heal them normally. You can march them around normally. You can attack anything that is a hostile unit. Killing another unit with a zombie unit under your control will spawn another zombie unit. That is not under your control because you have not done
Right.
whatever method of mind control you have over the zombies to that new unit.
Doesn't transfer,
Right.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
That
yeah.
will still be a
So,
barbarian unit, so watch out for that because that can backfire on you. But
so be careful what you ask for.
be careful what you ask for, but you can use them as normal units under all other circumstances. You can also release control of them at any time prior to the duration runs up. So what I would like to do is take control of these guys and march them up here back towards Panama and then release control because I am allied with England, so I can't attack England directly, but I can turn these back into barbarians and then let them do the attacking for me.
Devious.
Actually, Panama is already surrounded. If you look, it's
Yeah,
got a
it's
siege
sieged.
notice on it.
It's under
So
siege.
it's
Oh, no.
yeah, it's
Not doing so well.
Yeah, you may not need to worry about that. So somebody's asking if a Feitoria is pillaged and you have no nows left, are there any ways to repair them? So they do belong to the place where you left them. So in this case, like Newcastle upon Tyne. So it will be up to that person to repair the pillaged improvement, correct?
Yes, I believe that is correct.
And then they'll just use a builder to repair that.
Or
so
not.
then now is or not, as the case may be. So then now is only used to build the improvement. So again,
Right. They're not the ones that prepare it. Yeah.
Yeah. Once you no longer have the now as a unit that you can build, you no longer have access to that. So like Carl said, make sure that you're stocking up. So I noticed we just discovered gunpowder, and that's one of those inflection technologies that will start to boost the power of our defenses. How does zombie strength scale in this as well?
So zombies will get stronger the more zombies are killed in the game. So this is another thing where there's that sort of feedback effect. So more violent games will not only lead to more zombies, but each of the zombies will be stronger. So yeah, I'm wondering, Carl, if you can look and see how strong the zombies are at present compared to like a swordsman.
Yeah, absolutely.
52. Ouch.
So we can see it. Yeah, they
not
have a plus 30 here, and that's why they're crushing my swordsmen so
strength.
hard.
Yeah.
So many of them have died that their strength has gone way up. And again, like you just said, that's another part of that scale. If you could have a lot of zombie spawns, but if they're not dying off, then they'll still be very weak, and you'll be able to kill them easily. But if lots of them are dying, as has been happening in this game, they're going to keep getting stronger and stronger, and that can also snowball, because if the zombies are strong, it means that they'll kill other units easily, which spawns more zombies that then die, and so on and so forth.
Exciting.
Let's get some gunpowder
So
and take care of this.
Let's get some gunpowder. Yeah, exactly. Let's solve this with firepower.
I am not going to attack them, though, because I want to make sure that those zombies live.
Right, you still got the
one more turn
coming.
Yep.
Halfway to 100.
Right.
46.5.
Oh,
Very
man.
nice.
That's crazy. That's going to be really nice.
Turn, yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, you're down to 23 gold. Whatever will you do?
We will go for Torre de Belém. That's what we're gonna do, and then we'll
what you
try
had the
building
pin
that.
for. Yep.
That's what the pin is for.
Yep. All right.
Hey,
Circumnavigation. Congratulations.
right. Very fitting.
Yep.
Quick side note on Portugal as well. Some folks were asking on social media if you're playing against Portugal and João III, his historical agenda is that he respects civilizations and leaders that explore the world like he loves to do, and he will not like you if you are just staying in your own backwater and not exploring or circumnavigating and all that sort of stuff. So he respects exploration. And we have Kublai.
And we just
China.
we met Kublai Khan. That's pretty cool.
He's got the Great Wall. That's I'm a little jealous.
I wonder how they're doing with zombies on that continent. It doesn't seem to be.
This up here looks very empty of zombies. There are some up here from this barbarian camp. I don't know about down here yet. They've got some damage, but that could be a natural disaster. Most likely it's zombies. But yeah, China, because the Great Wall counts as a barricade, China is very effective in this mode. They get a pretty nice boost under whatever circumstances, whether they're dealing with zombies or whether they have another civ trying to invade them. They get this massive defensive boost just from building their normal Great Wall improvement. So definitely watch out if you're playing against China with this mode on.
I'm seeing
All
I'm
right.
seeing spies start to come online too. So I do want to point out one of the other fun tools that players have in this mode is there is a spy operation to actually have a chance to spawn zombies in an enemy city, and that will be a chance based on like what tiles that city is working. So if you can establish a high-level spy in an enemy city that has tons of population, it could be pretty devastating.
That'd be pretty cool. All right, the zombies are starting to throw themselves, and you've just gotten
I only got one.
a new suzerainty.
I only
Well, that's
landed
all right.
one.
Your
You
barricades
only
were too
landed
good.
one. Too effective. So now you could take this zombie and you could march it up to Panama and turn it loose, or you could, attack a weaker unit and potentially get them to spawn. So would have been nice if you'd had more of them. A little zombie flood would have been fun.
That's true. It does take some timing. So like the projects like Carl was saying earlier, the advantage of the turn undead is it's a very short production time, so you can kind of turn it around pretty quickly. Of course, you could do the sort of like min-max pro strat too, of like you could put production in the bucket and just have those projects ready to go at a moment's notice if you really want to like maximize stuff. But that takes some investment.
Yeah. So guys asking, are barbarians and zombies hostile to each other, or are they friendly because barbarians are all brawn and no brain? I like the way you're thinking.
They're the same player.
Yeah.
It is a barbarian player, so they are all on the same team.
Whatever story floats your boat, that is the way that they work.
I like to consider it professional respect.
Yeah.
Professional courtesy. It's why they don't attack each other.
And zombies don't pillage, so barbarians are like, cool, more for us.
Yeah, exactly. We're into this. That's fine. We'll take care of it for you. All right. So I do want to remind everybody that the Portugal DLC pack is going to release on Thursday, the 25th of March, and that's going to be at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and I believe we're at 5 p.m. British Standard Time, because I don't think those guys went to daylight savings yet. So it's a little floods. Oh, bummer. Zombies can't swim. Neither can our people, apparently. So that will be available tomorrow. And if you're watching a rebroadcast of that stream tomorrow, it'll be available at noon. This is the last DLC pack that is included in the new Frontier Pass. So if you've been with us this time, we really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun to prepare this, to create these game modes, to share them with you, the community. Anton, you guys have had a lot of fun in the design team, listening to the feedback from folks and coming up with stuff that fun little ice cream toppings for Civilization.
Totally. Yeah. All the modes have been a really fun experiment for us. We recognize and appreciate that not everybody's going to like every single mode, but we think, especially now, like this is the endpoint that we really wanted to be at, where there are, 8 new civilizations, 9 new leaders, a bunch of world wonders, new map scripts, and 8 game modes, 2 of which we released for free to the community as part of our community updates. And those combinations are really fun. And I love to see the questions in the chat around what happens with the twins, what happens with the secret society in Portugal. Like these interactions are exactly the sort of rich, fun experiences that we were hoping to create, and bringing a lot of the fun in Civilization and all its procedural story and combinations to like all the way up forward into the game setup screen, right? When you're picking those modes and picking those civilizations and the natural wonder picker and the city state picker, and just kind of curating what you think would be a really fun time. So yeah, it's been a great experience for us. And even though this is the last DLC pack of the new Frontier Pass, we're not going anywhere. Next month we have probably the biggest community update yet of the entire year. There have been a lot of balance changes that we've been sitting on that we didn't want to commit and release before the new Frontier Pass was done. Because we had Drow, because we had Zombies mode still coming, it was kind of like trying to hit a moving target. But we've been saving up a lot of really cool balance changes and some new fun surprises for next month.
All right. Well, Anton Stringer, lead designer of the Civilization 6 New Frontier Pass, thanks for coming out to the stream today.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here.
And I'd like to thank Carl Harrison, who's been our intrepid driver through the New Frontier Pass. Carl, thank you for playing with us today.
It's been my pleasure, Pete.
And I'm Pete Murray, your host. Don't forget to follow us on social media. The Portugal pack will be available tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. British Standard Time. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.